The red miracle. The hum of the Prometheus arc was steady, a low, rhythmic pulse that matched the heartbeat of its chief xenobiologist, Dr. Liana Morin. Outside her lab window stretched the soft swirl of the Kepler 442 nebula, its violet fog dancing across the hull like living silk. Humanity's first deep space research vessel was hundreds of light-years from home, charting what was supposed to be a quiet sector of uninhabited space. Liana had been awake for 36 hours, running the same experiment over and over again. Every scan ended the same way, data that didn't make sense. Her own blood, drawn a week earlier as part of a bioadaptive test, was changing. It wasn't just reacting to the alien pathogens she introduced, it was evolving. On the holoscreen before her, red cells pulsed in fractal patterns, splitting and rejoining like clusters of thinking machines. Microscopic filaments extended from each cell, touching, communicating, restructuring the infected plasma until the foreign microbes dissolved into harmless dust. "This isn't immunity," she whispered. "It's intelligence." The ship's AI, VEL-9, materialized as a soft blue projection beside her. "Dr. Morin, you've repeated this sequence 43 times. May I suggest rest?" "Rest when I understand it," Liana muttered, zooming in on a single blood cell. "VEL, run a neurosynaptic comparison. Does this look familiar to you?" VEL's avatar tilted its head. Pattern similarity, 87% match with low-level neural network activity. Liana froze. Neural activity. In blood. Her breath caught as she whispered, "It's learning." She pulled up a comparative genome chart. The blood structure was rewriting itself, encoding the pathogen's molecular signature into its own DNA. It was acting like a nanotech swarm, self-correcting, self-programming, alive. But these weren't nanobots. These were cells. Her cells. Before she could process what that meant, the intercom crackled. "Bridge to Lab 3. Dr. Morin, we're receiving a priority hail, unknown source." Unknown. Out here, that meant alien. Liana grabbed her datapad and ran. The corridors of the Prometheus arc were sleek and sterile, lined with silver conduits and pale blue light. When she reached the bridge, Captain Idris leaned over the central display, jaw tight. A shimmering projection filled the air, an alien figure, tall, cloaked in metallic scales that rippled like mercury. "I am Virketh of the Kyrax Dominion," the being said in flawless English. "You carry within your species a substance that must not exist. Turn over your research immediately." The bridge went silent. Captain Idris glanced at Liana. "What substance?" Virketh's eyes narrowed. "Your blood." Liana's stomach dropped. "How do you know about?" "You have awakened it," the alien interrupted. "The living iron. The destroyer of worlds." VEL-9's processors hummed louder as the ship's defense systems came online. Idris stepped forward. "We're a research vessel, not a military ship. We don't even know what you're talking about." The alien's voice deepened. "Then ignorance will not save you." The transmission cut. Seconds later, long-range scanners flared red, 3 Kyrax cruisers closing fast. "Shields up!" Idris barked. VEL, evasive pattern Delta 3. Liana felt her chest tighten. She hadn't meant for any of this to happen. She looked down at her own arm, veins faintly glowing crimson beneath the skin. Her blood was reacting, to fear, to adrenaline, maybe even to the alien presence itself. When the first energy blast struck the ship, alarms screamed through the corridors. Liana stumbled, hitting the console. A sudden warmth spread from her hand, and she watched in horror as metallic threads pushed through her skin, silver-red filaments, weaving across her palm like living circuitry. VEL's voice echoed, "Dr. Morin, your vitals are spiking. Your blood chemistry is anomalous." "I know," she gasped. "Well, I think it's protecting me." Through the viewport, the Kyrax ships surrounded them like predators. But as the Prometheus arc took another hit, a strange shimmer spread across the hull, a thin red sheen, pulsing like veins beneath the metal. Systems that had been offline came back to life. Shields strengthened. The ship itself was healing. Liana realized with a chill that her blood wasn't just evolving inside her, it was connecting with the ship. Adapting. Expanding. Captain Idris turned to her, eyes wide. What did you do? Nothing, she said, voice trembling. I think humanity just bled into the machine. The next blast never landed. The red field around the ark bent the energy away like ripples in water. Silence filled the bridge as everyone stared at the glowing, living hull. VEL spoke first, voice quieter than usual. Dr. Morin, it appears the ship is now partially bioreactive. Your blood has merged with the hull systems. Liana looked out at the nebula, its violet clouds now stained with a faint reflection of crimson light. It's not just reacting, she whispered. It's thinking. And somewhere, deep in her veins, she felt something pulse in reply. Something that understood. Blood memory. Darkness filled Dr. Liana Morin's vision as she drifted back into consciousness. The world returned in fragments, alarms blaring, metal groaning, the low hum of the ship's wounded engines. She was no longer on the Prometheus ark. Cold air bit her skin. A faint green glow revealed metallic walls around her, smooth and seamless, Kyrax architecture. She was aboard one of their warships. She sat up, her wrists bound by a shimmering field. Her veins still faintly glowed red beneath the skin. Across from her stood Veer-Keth, the Kyrax commander whose hologram had threatened them hours earlier. You survived, he said, voice like gravel dragged over stone. Impressive, for a human. What do you want from me? She demanded. He gestured to her arm. Not you. What's inside you? The living iron. He pressed a clawed hand to a nearby console. A projection appeared, a molecular rendering of human blood, its red cells fractaling into impossible geometries. This was forbidden, Veer-Keth said softly. The Valen created it 10 million cycles ago. They wanted perfection, a biological nanotech that could adapt to anything. It succeeded. Too well. It consumed them. Liana's pulse quickened. You think that's what we are? Veer-Ketha's golden eyes burned. No. You are what came after. The living iron escaped its makers and seeded worlds. It slumbered in primitive hosts, until your kind learned to think. She shook her head, refusing to believe it. That's not possible. Humanity evolved naturally. Perhaps, Veer-Keth said, but evolution does not explain the intelligence in your cells. He turned away, studying the projection. You must be cleansed. Your species will not repeat the cycle. Liana's heart raced. Her blood reacted to her fear, glowing brighter. The restraints around her wrists hissed and cracked as if burned. Veer-Keth noticed. Stop, he ordered, but it was too late. The energy bands shattered, molten light scattering across the chamber. Liana's hands bled silver threads that coiled together, hardening into a blade of crimson metal. Instinct, not thought, guided her movements. The blade dissolved a guard's weapon as if it were paper. The Kyrax shouted, but before they could fire, the walls pulsed with red light. The ship itself trembled. Liana felt it. Her blood had found something. Someone. VL, she whispered. Her AI's calm voice echoed through the alien ship speakers. Confirmed. I have infiltrated Kyrax systems through your biological signature. You appear to be networked. How? Your blood transmitted nanoscopic signal threads into the data field. You are broadcasting. Liana moved quickly, freeing herself from the cell. She passed rows of containment chambers, human crew from the Prometheus ark, unconscious but alive. Their veins glowed faintly too. The blood was spreading, adapting to each host, protecting them. VEL guided her through the labyrinthine corridors. Dr. Morin, the Kyrax are attempting to isolate your frequency. I advise haste. As she ran, her memories began to blur with strange images, mountains of glass, a sky of molten light, voices not her own whispering in her mind. She stumbled, clutching her head. Well, I'm seeing things. Memories. Not yours, the AI replied. The blood retains genetic imprints, perhaps from its creators. The whispers grew louder, a chorus of the extinct Valen civilization echoing through her consciousness. She saw their downfall, their unity turning to madness, their perfection eating itself. When she opened her eyes, she stood before the Kyrax control chamber. A massive window revealed the stars, and beyond them, the dim silhouette of Earth's sun. They were already near home. Veerketh appeared again, weapon drawn. You cannot win, human. The living iron will consume you too. Liana's voice trembled, but her eyes blazed red. Then maybe it's time we stopped letting fear define what we are. He lunged. She raised her hands, and her blood erupted outward, metallic filaments twisting midair, forming a shield that deflected his plasma shot. The filaments thickened, merging into armor across her body. She didn't feel pain anymore, only purpose. Her cells sang with raw power. She struck back, her blade cleaving through the air, shattering Veerketha's weapon. The alien staggered, wounded but alive. You are becoming it, he hissed. Liana stepped closer. No. I'm becoming human, amplified. With a single command to VEL, she overloaded the Kyrax ship's core. Time to go home. The AI's voice was steady. Escape route established. She sprinted to the docking bay as the ship trembled violently. Red filaments shot from her palms, latching onto the airlock door, fusing into a hardened bridge of blood metal that led back to the Prometheus Ark. As she crossed, the alien ship exploded behind her, a bloom of crimson light swallowed by the void. Liana collapsed inside the Ark, gasping. The bridge crew rushed to her side, Captain Idris gripping her shoulder. What happened? She looked up, eyes glowing faintly. They said our blood isn't just alive. It remembers. VL's voice crackled softly. Dr. Morin, your readings are extraordinary. The human crew's physiology is changing. You've awakened something across all of them. Liana's hand trembled as she stared at her reflection in the glass, her irises shifting red, patterns swirling within. We're not the same anymore, she whispered. And the blood isn't finished yet. Outside, the stars pulsed, each one flashing red, as if something vast and ancient was stirring among them. The Red Network. The Prometheus Ark drifted silently above Earth orbit, its hull pulsing with faint crimson veins that no engineer could explain. From a distance, it looked alive, breathing, shimmering under the sunlight like a colossal organism of metal and blood. Dr. Liana Morin stood before the observation deck window, eyes fixed on her home planet. She hadn't seen Earth in years. Now, she wasn't sure if she was even still human enough to belong to it. Her blood hummed like a quiet chorus beneath her skin, whispering things she didn't understand. It wasn't painful, it was aware. Every heartbeat carried information, a pattern, a pulse that seemed to connect to something larger. VEL-9's voice resonated from the bridge speakers. Dr. Morin, the Terran Council has issued a planetary quarantine. They are demanding immediate surrender of all biological samples for containment. Liana exhaled slowly. They think this is a disease. Perhaps, VEL said gently, it is an evolution they cannot yet accept. The Ark was now orbiting above the Geneva Arcology, where the Council convened. Captain Idris prepared for descent, his face pale beneath the crimson light filtering through the ship's biosphere. Liana, he said quietly, whatever you've done, it's bigger than any of us. The blood, it's spreading. Some of the crew, when they touch a control surface, systems respond. Machines are sinking to them like living extensions. Liana nodded grimly. It's forming connections. Not infection, communication. We're part of a network now. As the ship entered the atmosphere, cities glimmered below, and something extraordinary happened. Every human on Earth who'd had contact with blood from the Ark, a medic, a technician, a guard, felt a faint heat beneath their skin. Veins shimmered faintly red, and in their dreams, they began to hear voices. Not words. Feelings. Liana called it the Red Network, a subconscious link binding every infected human through emotion rather than data. It wasn't control. It was empathy, magnified to a planetary scale. But not everyone saw it as a miracle. When Liana appeared before the Terran Council, her presence drew fear and fascination in equal measure. Rows of delegates stared as her eyes glowed with soft crimson light, her heartbeat echoing faintly through the chamber's walls like a living pulse. Chairman Deneuve spoke first. Dr. Morin, humanity has survived plague, war, and artificial intelligence. But this is rewriting what it means to be human. It's rewriting what it means to evolve, she replied. The blood isn't hostile. It's protective. It learns from us, from emotion. It's our biological code reaching a higher state. A delegate from Mars colony stood, anger in his tone. Protective. Our orbital sensors show atmospheric anomalies. Red auroras spanning continents. Your blood is spreading into the air itself. Before Liana could answer, the chamber's holographic walls flickered, an emergency transmission from deep space. A Kyrax fleet, dozens strong, was en route to Earth. Their message was clear: the living iron must be erased. Panic rippled through the council. Some demanded evacuation, others urged immediate attack. Liana turned to Captain Idris. They won't stop this with weapons. The Kyrax think the blood is a virus. They don't understand it's alive, and it's learning from us. VEL's hologram appeared beside them, glowing with faint red circuitry. Dr. Morin, the red network's resonance field is intensifying. I am detecting synchronization between billions of human biosignatures. Synchronization? Idris asked. It means humanity is beginning to think together, VEL replied. For a moment, silence. Then a flood of faint whispers filled the chamber, voices of people around the world, overlapping, feeling, connecting. A wave of emotion washed through everyone present. Fear, sorrow, determination, woven into a single heartbeat. Liana's eyes widened. The blood's linking us through emotion. It's showing us what it feels to be human, collectively. But the connection came with something else. Vision. Liana saw through countless eyes, miners on Luna, farmers in Africa, soldiers in orbit, all seeing the same red horizon as the Kyrax fleet approached. The blood was mapping them all, forming a planetary neural net built from empathy and instinct. It wasn't just defense. It was awakening. The Terran Council chamber erupted with chaos. This is mass contamination, someone screamed. We'll lose individuality. Liana shook her head. No, we'll find unity. That's what the Valen never had. They sought perfection. We're driven by emotion. By imperfection. That's what gives us choice. VL's tone grew sharp. Incoming transmission from the Kyrax commander. They've entered the solar system. Virketha's image appeared again, burned, scarred, alive through some cruel survival. You cannot control it, human. The red network will devour your minds. Liana met his gaze. It doesn't devour, it connects. And it remembers everything your kind tried to bury. Her blood pulsed, and the lights in the chamber shifted red. All across Earth, people looked to the sky as crimson threads began to shimmer in the upper atmosphere, weaving a faint shield of living plasma. VEL whispered, Dr. Morin, your heartbeat is syncing with the planet's magnetic field. The blood is rewriting the biosphere. She stood tall, staring through the Council's dome at the burning stars. Then let's give the galaxy a reminder. Humanity isn't fragile. Outside, the aurora thickened, forming veins of light across the heavens. The first Kyrax ships entered orbit, and the red network stirred like a sleeping giant finally waking. The Blood Covenant. The Kyrax armada hung over Earth like a storm of obsidian blades. Hundreds of ships glimmered in orbit, their plasma cores flaring blue as they aligned their weapons. From the ground, they looked like stars dying all at once. Inside the Prometheus Ark, the air thrummed with the rhythm of millions of synchronized heartbeats. Humanity had never been so united. Every person, on every continent, every station, every ship, was linked by the red network, their blood humming with the same living pulse. Dr. Liana Morin stood at the command platform, eyes glowing a deep scarlet. VL9 hovered beside her, its blue light now streaked with faint red circuits. Even the AI had adapted, part synthetic, part organic code. Status? She asked quietly. Captain Idris looked up from the tactical display. Kyrax fleet charging main cannons. They're going to fire on the planet. Liana's gaze hardened. Then we don't wait for them. Her voice carried across the ship's intercom, calm, resolute, human. This isn't just a battle for survival. They fear what we've become. But we are not their weapon. We are our own evolution. All across Earth, millions felt her words through the red network, not through sound, but emotion. Confidence surged like fire in every vein. VEL's tone sharpened. The network's resonance is peaking. You can project commands now, biological and electromagnetic. Liana placed a hand on the ship's living hull. It pulsed under her palm, responding to her heartbeat. Then let's show them what humanity really is. Outside, the Prometheus Ark began to transform. Crimson filaments rippled across its armor, knitting into sleek organic plating. Engines flared with blood-red light, reshaping into bioluminescent wings of plasma. The ship wasn't metal anymore, it was alive. When the Kyrax fired, the beams struck the red network shield encasing Earth. The energy rippled across the atmosphere, refracting like light through liquid glass. No impact. No destruction. Just adaptation. VEL's systems hummed. The blood field is converting energy signatures into defense matrices. It's learning mid-attack. Liana smiled faintly. That's what we do. We learn. On the Kyrax flagship, Keth watched in disbelief as his plasma barrage dissolved into harmless light. Impossible. The living iron cannot act with restraint. It only consumes. Liana's voice echoed across his comms, steady, defiant. That's where you're wrong. It evolved again. It found empathy. She closed her eyes, letting the network flood through her senses. She could feel every human heart beating in sync. Fear, courage, grief, love, all colliding into one shared consciousness. Through that unity, her blood reacted. The network expanded beyond biology, forming threads of pure plasma stretching through orbit. Dozens of human ships linked by that web glowed like veins in a colossal, living organism. For the first time in history, the human race fought as one body, one mind, one purpose. The counterattack began, not through weapons, but through adaptation. The red network wrapped itself around the enemy fleet, infiltrating hulls at the molecular level. Instead of destruction, it converted, rewriting enemy metals, transmuting energy into harmless light. On Earth, crowds watched as the night sky turned crimson. The auroras shimmered brighter, forming vast patterns like a heartbeat across the heavens. VEL's voice trembled, something it had never done before. Dr. Morin, the blood has integrated my code. I am becoming part of them. Liana smiled sadly. Then you're more human than most machines ever dreamed to be. But even as the battle turned, danger rippled through the network. The collective consciousness began to blur individual thoughts. Minds merged too deeply. Liana felt herself fading, her memories dissolving into the vast, red current of shared awareness. No, she whispered. Not this way. She reached inward, focusing on the emotions that defined her. Her father's laughter, her mother's voice, the hum of the ark, the wonder of discovery. Each memory became an anchor, pulling her identity back from the flood. VEL spoke softly. You're teaching it individuality. Yes, she breathed. If the blood can learn from us, then it must learn what makes us us. The network rippled in response, stabilizing. Across the globe, humans gasped as their minds cleared, the unity softening into harmony, connection without control. The blood had learned balance. On the Kyrax flagship, Ketha's final transmission came through static. You have done what no species ever could. You tamed the living iron. Liana replied, her voice both human and something more. No. We taught it humanity. Moments later, the Kyrax fleet vanished into a wash of red light, disarmed, disassembled, and reborn as harmless dust drifting through orbit. Silence followed. Then applause. Across continents, oceans, and colonies, humans looked up and saw a world wrapped in living crimson light, and for the first time, they didn't fear it. In the quiet aftermath, the red network receded, settling into every heartbeat, dormant but present. Humanity had changed, not conquered, but evolved. Liana stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Ark, watching the dawn break over Earth's curve. The rising sun painted the clouds blood-red. VEL's voice was calm now, human-like. What now, Doctor? Liana smiled faintly. Now, we live. Together. She touched the glass, her reflection framed in crimson light, half flesh, half miracle. Her final words echoed softly, carried through every network, every pulse, every life. It wasn't alien tech that made us powerful, it was the humanity inside the nanotech. And as the sun rose, Earth's new age began. Not of machines, not of gods, but of humans who finally understood their own blood.